Hello everyone, it's Shay here from Pro EMP, and today I'm going to be demonstrating how to create fast ideas using Maschine version 2.7.7 and the Maschine Mark III hardware controller. I'll be using the hardware for virtually all of the production process, so make sure you keep an eye on the top right hand of the screen for what I do as I do it. Now before we start, I'd like to point out that the whole point of this taster video is to be able to create basic compositions and arrangements efficiently, making sure that creativity is at the heart of the workflow. In this first video, I'll be making a basic drum and bass pattern, making use of the user library browser and the onboard sampler and everything that Maschine has to offer. If you're interested in Maschine and would like to get in-depth one-to-one tuition, then head over to proemp.co.uk and get in contact with us. So let's begin. Efficient workflow is really dependent on your preparation and your planning. As you can see from here on the left-hand side, I'm on the Samples tab and I'm on the User panel. And you can see here that under the Types category, I've got all of my packs that could be manufacturers, they could be existing packs like the actual sample pack, or they could be just packs from things that I have dragged in myself and made my own groups out of and made my own sample libraries out of, each with their own subcategories. For instance, here we've got liquidism, one-shots, and so on. But to take this a step further is if I press this samples up here, I can see that every single sample pack or library that I have, I've assigned a thumbnail image to. Now this helps drastically in efficient workflow, making sure that I can see what the sample pack is rather than just reading what it's called. From a glance, I can see exactly the kind of sound that I'm going to be picking, and it just speeds up those extra 3 or 4 seconds, not spent reading a line, but actually just looking at the image and knowing exactly what you want to go for, means that creativity has got 3 more seconds to be going. I'm going to be making drum and bass today. So what I'm going to be looking for is just some one-shot samples. Now, to keep creativity at the heart of this, I'm not going to pick a drum and bass pack. I'm going to pick maybe a garage pack. So let's move over and let's do all of this from the hardware. So if I go to my browser, I can see here in my browser, I can search through all the sounds. At the minute, this is every single sound that's in there, but I'd like to start to categorize this. So let's have a look through at some of these packs. So I'm going to go down and I maybe find a house pack. Now let's see if there's any one-shots in this. We've got one-shot stabs. We've got drum hits. Perfect. So I'm going to go to the drum hits. I'm going to go to the subcategory of kicks, and I'm going to sample and preview a few of these kicks. I really like that kick, so I'm going to load that into pad 1. So now on pad 1, I've got a solid kick. Now I'm going to want another kick, so I'm going to come out my browser, I'm going to select a new pad, I'm going to click browser again, and I'm going to find a softer kick. That one's perfect. So now my 2 kicks that I have, really nice. I'm kind of feeling that already. I like those sounds. On top of kicks, I may want to add in some snares. So let's pick another pad. Let's browse and change our subcategory down to claps and snares. That'll be quite nice. Really like that one. I'm going to want some sort of like rim shotty sound, because I think I'm going to go for a liquid style drum and bass track. So let's select the 4th slot, and we'll go through percussion, because I think that'll be in the percussion. Really like that one. So we've got 2 kicks and a snare and a rim shot. So we have really feeling this at the minute. This is where I want to be going. So I've got the 2 mains. I've got a kick and I've got a snare sort of layer with some rim shot in there. So the next thing is maybe add some hi-hats. So I'm going to go to my pad 5. Let's browse. Let's search the category for some hats. Actually, I'm going to pick a different pack completely. Let's switch it up a little bit. So let's go through. Let's try and get it a little bit random. Let's go to the LB pack from Sample Phonics. And let's look at one-shots or drums. Now, I really like that as a sample, but as you can hear, it's a loop. So what I'm going to do is come out of there. This is the loop. Put it into ADSR mode, meaning that it doesn't last, it's not in one-shot mode anymore. and I'm going to edit this sample. So what I'm going to do is just take those hi-hat parts. So let's have a listen. Let's have a zoom in. I really like that sample now. That's quite good. I'm going to duplicate this sample over to the next pad and then change the start and end points of this loop. So you hold duplicate, click the pad you want to duplicate to the place you want to duplicate it to, its destination, pad 6, and now you can see pad 5 and pad 6 are the same sample, but now on 6 I can zoom out and find a new spot. So let's have a listen. I really like that. Excellent. So now I'm going to truncate these samples. Now what this means is it cuts out all of the excess. So everything that you see on the far and from the left-hand side and the right-hand side of my bounds, it will get rid of. So I'm going to truncate that sample. So now the whole sample length is just my cut range. Again on the next one. So I have... Excellent. I'm really feeling this now. I'm going to move on to another hi-hat. This time I'm going to sample it from... Let's move around to... Let's go to a drum and bass pack for this one. Let's find sounds. Let's find drum hits, one shots, and we'll find hats. So let's have a listen through the hats from the Lensman Deep Soulful Drum and Bass pack. Really like that one. Let's find another. And an open. Excellent. So now we've got... I'm kind of feeling this. Now what I can do with just these first 8 pads is just get a basic drum loop down, okay? A very, very basic drum loop. Just something to get the groove going and something to get the juices flowing, maybe thinking about putting a melody over. So this is drum and bass. As you can see from the tempo at the top of the screen up here, it's at 125. That's not on for drum and bass. So let's move it to more of a drum and bassy tempo. Let's try 174. Excellent. Let's go to our volume, our overall volume, which you can see just here, and we'll bring that down a couple of decibels, about 3 dB, just so we know we've gained a little bit of headroom in the top. And then lastly, I'm going to put some swing into this. So I'll press swing, and I'm going to give this about 15% swing. So nothing too drastic, but just a little bit of movement, a little bit of play when we start recording. So let's get a first drum loop down. Let's get a first sort of pattern down. So I'm going to click pattern. I'm going to press 1 for my first pattern. And you can see it's giving me pattern 1. And in the arrange window up here, in my ideas view, my first pattern is available. And you can determine the length of this within the hardware. So you can have 16, 12, 4. I'm going to leave it at 8 for the minute because I think that's good enough for what we're doing in a minute for this just quick idea. And I'm going to start recording. So we're going to put the metronome on, and then I'm going to record in a basic drum and bass loop. Let's have a listen. So that's the basic kick and snare. Let's add in some percussive parts. So I'm going to add in this little hi-hat here. So we're getting there, we're sort of getting a basic arrangement down. Let's try this second kick and this other clap. Now I'm feeling that, but there's just one little mistake at the end with this little sample. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that and get rid of that using the step feature. So I'm going to make sure I follow my steps, and I'm going to find that one wrong pass. So let's have a look. There we go, found it, and then got rid of it using the step feature. So I haven't had to touch the mouse really at all here, only really just to show you a few things on the front screen, but I haven't had to touch the mouse at all really to get around this arrangement. So now I've got a basic drum groove down. I'm probably going to want to add in a few more bits to this. I may want to add in a few more loops. So on my second row of 8, this is 16 pads, and I like to think of them as 2 rows of 8. So I have my initial row of 8 and then an empty bank of 8, which I can add overdubs to. So in this number 9 pad, or my 9th sound, I'm going to go to the browser and I'm going to search for my own sample library. So this is a sample library that I'd used, sampling old records, sampling my synthesizer from sound design parts, basically using old samples to create new loops and then resampling them using Maschine. So let's have a listen to these 2 samples. See, I like both of those, so I'm going to load both of those. I'm going to have the first one on that pad, and I'm going to have the second one on that pad. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop the bits that I like out and layer them over the top of the beat for this first pattern. So ADSR mode, same for the second one. So right, let's go to the sampler, and I'm going to just pick the snares for this one. So let's zoom in a touch, make sure I get it bang on the snare there. Let's have a zoom. Lovely, truncate that. So now I have, really feeling that. I'll do the same sort of thing with the second one. I may leave that last kick in there because I quite like the sound of that. Let's just zoom in there and make sure I'm not cutting off too much of it. Let's zoom into the start as well here to make sure I get bang on that snare. Lovely. So right, let's just layer these over the top. Let's just have a play, pure creativity. I'm feeling that. Let's move to the second one. Actually, I am going to take out that last kick. And just keep those parts. I really like that little roll. So we're getting a basic loop down. So that's my basic drum and bass loop just for the start. So that concludes part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 where we add melodic elements to create a mood and start a contemporary arrangement. I've been Shay from Pro EMP. Thanks for watching.